Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jonathan back again with the weekly scope, and today I'm going to talk about the Dolphins free agents and who I believe they could potentially end up signing. Starting off with none other than Tyron Armstead. This came out very recently that the Dolphins were interested in him, and I think rightfully so. One of the top five tackles in the NFL, coming from a great system in the Saints. You know, the Saints are kind of in this rebuilding spot sort of thing, and I think he's honestly a great target if we could somehow acquire him. But I think the O-line is definitely the biggest concern for the Miami Dolphins. There was also a report that they were interested in Ryan Jensen, who was the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, with Tom Brady leaving, maybe he's looking for a new place to call home under a younger, more established quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa. Honestly, you give Tua two of these like veteran O-lines with this young O-line. I think an infusion of veteran leadership could definitely be beneficial for this O-line. I think the hiring of Mike McDaniels is amazing, and I believe our OC is also a former O line coach for the Chargers, I believe. So, I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis, especially with this zone running scheme that Mike McDaniels will look to implement. I think it's going to be very interesting to see who we target, but I definitely think Tyron Armstead and a combination of either a center or a guard would be great. I think Brandon Scherf, I'm a real big fan of his, great guard, still a little bit on the younger side. But at the same time, we'll have to see. We'll have to see for sure what we do with the O line because in the draft I love Linderbaum and he's a great center and I think he would definitely fit in with this team. The question is how far will he drop? Will he even be there? Can the Dolphins maybe potentially trade up for him? I see that as a possibility too. If he, I believe thoroughly if he drops to like 20, the Dolphins should immediately try to be looking to trade up. But talking about other positions, you got wide receiver. I think this one's very interesting because the Dolphins definitely need wide receiver. I think wide receiver is one that you could more accurately address in the draft. Dolphins drafted Jalen Waddle last year, and that worked out pretty well for them, I'd say. But you look at their history with drafting O linemen, it hasn't really worked out. We've taken an O lineman the past 5 years, I believe, something around that. And if we continue with Linderbaum, which I don't think Linderbaum is I feel like he's a can't miss prospect at center. But if we take another shot, it might just repeat the same cycle. I'd rather infuse that side of the ball with O line, with veterans. And I think wide receiver is definitely one you could take on a young guy, but the three guys I would be looking at are Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper if he is released. You know, Amari Cooper is a wait and see because we really don't know yet if he will be released. And then Allen Robinson, I've been a fan of Allen Robinson. I actually wanted us to get him last year. The Bears franchise tagged him, and he had a down season. But I think that's more attributed to Matt Nagy having a horrible offensive scheme and the quarterback play not really being anything special, even with Justin Fields. And Devontae Adams, now with Aaron Rodgers re-signing with the Packers and him being franchise tagged, I think the road on that is pretty done. I don't think much is gonna happen there, especially with Rodgers and Adams. Apparently, they were planning to go to wherever Rodgers decided to go as a unit, so as a duo. So, I don't think that's a crazy scenario where Devontae Adams maybe leaves. Maybe he's like, if you guys aren't going to give me my contract with, which I don't know if the Packers can, considering how much they're paying Rodgers and how much cap space or how much cap space they have, considering all the people they're already paying. But with that being said, I definitely think those three guys are definitely the ones I would look for. If not, I would definitely look towards the draft with people like Chris Olave or Jameson Williams, potentially being people I would want as a Dolphins fan. And then I think the last position that I'm going to talk about is linebacker. I think on the defensive side, I think linebacker is definitely like our weakest spot. I think the D line is excellent. I think the secondary is excellent. And if there is one weakness to this defense, I would say linebacker. Like the three of like the three other positions I mentioned, I do have a draft prospect that I would love for the Dolphins to acquire, and that's Nakobi Dean from Georgia. I feel like he's more of a cover safety. I mean, a cover linebacker, and I think that's what we need right now. I think Jerome Baker works better as a blitzer slash inside linebacker, but I don't think he's horrible at the outside, and I do think there's a couple people we could draft and sign potentially. I do like Hightower. You know, we don't have Brian Flores anymore, but I think Dante Hightower is a good pickup. We also steal him from New England, so that would be interesting. I love Chandler Jones. If we could somehow get him, I think the blitz packages with Chandler Jones would go absolutely insane. That would definitely bolster up our defense, make us top 5 in the league probably. And then Kyle Van Noy, bringing him back would be interesting. I would definitely look into that. I don't think we should have released him last year, first of all, but that's neither here or there. And I think Kyle Van Noy is still a productive player, and I think he'll be pretty good in our defense. He knows the system, he knows how to play it, and I think he'll come back in, give us that veteran leadership, which I do think we were missing last year. And then last but not least, Bobby Wagner. He was just released yesterday, and honestly, I think he'll be an amazing pickup for us if we could somehow acquire him. Inside linebacker, one of the best in the business. And he's still relatively young-ish. He's not super old. I think we could definitely get a solid 2-3 years out of him. And the contract doesn't have to be that long, I don't believe. I think you offer him a solid contract, maybe like a 2-year, 3-year with the money loaded in the front, and then you could cut him later on if his production drops. Which I don't really think it will, but I think Bobby Wagner is definitely someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, with all that being said, we'll see how all this plays out. I feel like what happens in the offseason is definitely going to determine what happens when we go into the draft and who we draft there. I do think someone like Breece Hall would be someone we would take automatically with the second. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen with our second round pick. We'll take Breece Hall or running back. That's why I'm not really talking about running backs, because I believe running back is going to be something we address in the draft. And I think we might sign like a Raheem Mostert, but that's neither here or there. We'll have to see how that plays out too. But with that being said, we'll see how this plays out and see you next time. Peace.